Ink Ribbon.
Is she good? Is she evil? Nobody really knows the truth about Ada, but hopefully this video can shed some light on her. From her boy toy Leon to her insanely expensive wig, here are 50 facts about Ada Wong. In the early version of Resident Evil 2, known as 1.5, Ada was originally a scientist named Linda, but still had the same personality and was still a double agent. The biggest inspiration for her archetype was the character La Femme Nikita, with both characters being amazing spies with their biggest flaw being unable to resist feelings for a man they care about. In Ada's case, that man is Leon. She is 5'7". Ada is half Chinese, half American. Her blood type is AB. In Hong Kong and Taiwan, there was a manga series that was released, and in the second volume, we got to see the only glimpse of Ada's past where, as a child in a war-torn nation, she has to scavenge for food and she nearly kills another kid with a shotgun, but takes pity on him and lets him keep the food. Later in this manga series, Ada becomes impregnated by a monster only for Leon to become a bioweapon similar to William in order to save her. It should go without mention that this isn't canon, especially since this version of Leon is named Leon Scoot Kennedy. While she appeared in ads fully rendered, Ada never appeared in any of the FMVs in the original Resident Evil 2 because her model wasn't finished in time for the game's release. Aside from the Darkside Chronicles, which is no longer considered canon, Ada and Claire have never met officially. Ada got most of her training as a spy while working for a Chinese crime syndicate in the black market for arms dealers. Ada's main involvement in espionage is with a group simply known as the Organization, who was Umbrella's main competitor. Even though she has worked for several different private employers, she has a reputation for betraying them. Ada tends to do whatever she feels is right based on the information she has at the time. In typical Capcom fashion, Ada has had a lot of changes to her story, mainly in her death in Resident Evil 2. In the original, she could die in two different ways depending on which scenario you were playing. One by falling to her death, and one by being thrown against a panel. In the original story, Ada got close to a researcher named John and became his girlfriend in order to gain access to Umbrella research. This was entirely scrapped in the remake, simply having her pose as an FBI agent. The John Ada password in the first game is not only responsible for her name, but also what caused her entire backstory to be written. According to character designer Kazunori Kadoi, the reason Ada was given a trench coat in the remake was that having her just walking around in a red dress seemed a little bit too unrealistic, especially for a spy. The last name Wong may be a reference to the actress Anna May Wong, who was known for embodying the Dragon Lady trope. This role always tends to be a mysterious and seductive Asian woman who typically is either deceitful or domineering. As cool as her grapple gun is, it wouldn't be able to exist in real life as it does in the game. Just like Batman's grapple gun, the amount of power and structural stability it would need to lift a person simply wouldn't be possible without being extremely large. The hookshot from Resident Evil 0 is probably a much more accurate representation of how big it would need to be, and even then, it most likely wouldn't be able to pull you up very quickly. In the data files for Resident Evil 4, there is suggestion that Ada's grapple gun would have been usable during regular gameplay, but how it would have functioned is unknown. The first time we got to see Ada use her grappling hook was when Wesker gave it to her in Umbrella Chronicles to help her get out of the city. The soundtrack for Umbrella Chronicles features Ada on the cover art. Ada was added as a playable character in the free-to-play mobile game Puzzle Fighter, but the game was shut down 2 months after she debuted. In the Resident Evil films, Ada is played by the Chinese actress Li Bingbing. The wig that she wore during the film reportedly cost over $7,000. Li tried her best to learn her lines in English before shooting, but was actually dubbed over by Sally Cahill, the original voice of Ada, though she wasn't credited for this.
How do you think Umbrella populates these test scenarios? Hundreds of people dead each time they run a simulation.
How do you think Umbrella populates these test scenarios? Hundreds of people dead each time they run a simulation.
Kelly Hu was one of the candidates to play Ada in the live-action films. The real reason Ada survived Raccoon City is because she had a tissue sample from William. In exchange for recovering it, she was warned about the missile strike approaching Raccoon City by Wesker, who helped her get out. When Ada and Leon first met in the RPD parking garage, Leon yelled, "Hold your fire," but the line was removed in favor of silence.
Hold your fire!
Aside from Claire, Ada is the only character to use an automatic bowgun in the entire series. In the first releases of Resident Evil 4, Ada's model was not rigged for certain animations. When swapped, attempting to do certain animations resulted in probably the craziest glitch in all of Resident Evil. Luis Serra was responsible for leaking information about Las Plagas, which made its way to Wesker, who then sent it to Krauser and Ada on their respective missions to steal it. In Resident Evil 4, Ada was given orders by Wesker to kill Leon, but chose to ignore those orders since she still has feelings for him. By avoiding Leon and running away from him, she was actually keeping him safe, telling Wesker that she just never had the chance to assassinate him. Ada rang the bell in the village in order to help Leon when he was being overwhelmed by enemies. The title screen for Separate Ways was inspired by the TV series La Femme Nikita. While there is a running joke about Leon being a little dumb or gullible, Ada actually views him as very smart, to the point of calling him practically a genius in one of her reports in Resident Evil 4. Also in one of Ada's reports, she reveals that she double-crossed Wesker, giving him a fake sample while keeping the real one for the organization, all of which was done following their orders. At the end of Resident Evil Damnation, which takes place before 6, you can see Ada talking to Simmons at the end of the movie. The art book for Resident Evil Damnation includes a section called Ada's Report, in which she details her analysis of all the monsters she's ever encountered. Due to the Resident Evil movie storyline, the game studio was under strict rules to avoid the mention of clones. This is largely why the storyline of Resident Evil 6 became so confusing. By claiming Carla was a doppelganger of Ada rather than a clone, they were able to differentiate it, but it left a lot of fans a bit confused regardless, since Carla and the various Ada types were all virtually identical to the real Ada. While Ada also has her solo campaign in Resident Evil 6, a patch was added where you could play co-op with a character simply called Agent. This character has no backstory and is simply there for gameplay purposes. Just like Leon, those around Ada tend to develop romantic or lustful feelings for her, especially her bosses like Derek Simmons, who became absolutely obsessed with her. Carla Radams first appears in the Marhawa Desires manga, along with Piers. The actual story behind Carla's transformation into Ada is more sinister than it seems. Carla trusted Simmons and let her guard down, allowing him to experiment on her with the C virus, not knowing that he was not only altering her body, but also her mind. He focused on giving her Ada's personality and traits, which caused her to literally believe that she was Ada. After this, Simmons treated her as if she was the real Ada. I think obsessed might be an understatement. At the University of Salzburg, an analysis of Ada was done and she was considered a gender-fluid character, with traits physically assigned to male characters like strength, intelligence, and a dominant personality, while also having typical feminine qualities such as beauty and poise. In Street Fighter V, the character Colin is able to wear Ada's outfits as DLC content. Shinji Mikami, the creator of Resident Evil, has gone on record saying that he finds Ada to be manipulative, especially to Leon. The same way Leon rose from rookie cop to elite agent, her involvement in the Raccoon City incident made her a legend in the espionage world. In Japan, there was an audio drama released called The Female Spy is Alive, which takes place a few days after Resident Evil 2. In this story, Ada intercepts Sherry's locket being delivered to a village in France, killing Hunk and his team while also surviving an accidental T-virus outbreak. The most noteworthy thing about this audio drama is that it ends with Ada realizing her true feelings for Leon and deciding to quit being a spy so that she can be with him. While we got to see what happened afterwards, the way that she actually survived the fall in Resident Evil 2 has never been officially explained. This also goes for her other death where she is smashed against the panel by Mr. X and literally died in Leon's arms. The only thing I found is that Wesker was the one who saved her, as mentioned in Wesker's report, though he doesn't specify how he saved her. While it's the name that we know her as, Ada Wong is just a pseudonym and her real identity remains a mystery. And that is it for this list. Know of any other facts about Ada Wong? Let me know in the comments. What other video game characters would you like to see a list like this on? Let me know. And if you want to see more videos like this, you should also check out my other 50 Facts videos on Leon, Claire, Jill, Chris, and Lara Croft, with more to come. And if you learned something, be sure to hit that like button or subscribe if you already haven't. Until next time, I'm Kai Morgan, and as always, thanks for watching Ink Ribbon. And a very special thank you to my bronze, silver, and gold Patreon supporters. Thanks to you, I can make videos without worrying about demonetization and grow my channel faster.